What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video review. Today we are gonna take a look at Spider-Man new red and blue suit. I know this is like the 75th review of this figure in the past 2 months or so, but hey, that is the testament of how good this figure is. You know what? I'll take that back, of how good the head sculpt is. The figure is a normal Spider-Man figure, but there's two elements of this figure that is, at least for me, very enticing, which is the diorama base and the head sculpt. Now we're gonna take a closer look on those two elements right about now as we unbox this figure. This comes in a standard box, and the box itself is not too big considering it does have that massive diorama piece. Now if you are in the market for this figure, I would say don't overpay. Just keep an eye, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because it has came back multiple times on Big Bad Toy Store, both the regular version and the deluxe version. And I know it's a hot figure at the moment because this is the best head sculpt as of now, the one that's released of Tom Holland in Hot Toys version. Now we know now that there is a Iron Spider look that is coming out as an artisan version, and this is not artisan, but this is the first Tom Holland head sculpt that is has a rolling eyeball system, and B, that has a neck exposed. By that I mean he doesn't a part of his skin is showing on his neck piece, that he isn't wearing this, super long turtleneck. That is a plus in my opinion, because that's how it's supposed to be. Now looking at the biggest part of the accessory here, which is the diorama piece, this is called the rooftop base, and it looks nice. That is where you put the bendable waist grabber, and as you can see here, a snowy scene, which is towards the end of the movie. That's how it's set up. And this is, let's be honest here, this is what everyone came here for, which is the head sculpt. And now you got just the normal pieces that you would see from a Spider-Man purchase, basically webs, hands, replaceable eyes, and all that. Let's take a closer look in those accessories. Anytime that you buy a Spider-Man figure, this is what you're gonna get. You got the web shooter that you attach to the shooting hand. You got various types of hands, the expressive hands, the hands that kind of holds the cell phone / his mask, and I call this the web crawling hands, because the fingertips are the one that's touching the floor, not the palm. So as you can see here, this goes for kind of like an expressive gesture as well. This is the web shooting hand. If you owned any Spider-Man figure in the past year or so, you know that you could take out the bottom and you insert the web shooter. And the last hand you can see from the right is the kind of like the one that holds the web slings and all that. And now different types of eyelids that is interchangeable. They're all magnetized. And now you have this, webs that again we've seen 100 times from different form of Spider-Man, and you got that big clump of web there. It's I don't know how to describe it at this point, but the video game version came up with newer effects of webs, and I was trying to, I guess, insert the web into the shooter at this point, but I lost it, so I'm kind of like scrambling here. And this is one of those again, a fabric mask that he could hold. Beautiful, consistent with the rest of the suit. And you got the newly refined head sculpt, which we would tackle later on. But for now, let's take a closer look to the deluxe version, which is this rooftop base diorama. And again, unfortunately, you do not get the regular base. And this kind of reminds me of the classic suit Spider-Man base because of the end part, the black part right there, where you insert the bendable rod for his waist clamp. This is a nice diorama piece. It is smaller though than I thought it would be. I thought it would take up a bigger space than this, but it almost feels like out of scale, honestly. But there's a lot of details here. You can see there is a vent, an air ventilation in there right next to it. And then I'm assuming that's a chimney, and I guess that's another, I don't know, exhaust. That's an exhaust, that's an air vent. And then you got a partial window, as you can see there, and there's pipes. And this is a three-dimensional piece, meaning every other corner you could technically display this however you want. There's a lot of details. You can see scratches and rusting on those pipes, and the snow that is building up. Anyone who lives in a snowy area, it does go into your rooftop. This piece I wish you could take out of, because you can't now you could still display it technically, but it's kind of an eyesore. But I wish you could take that off and then replace it with a cover or so. Now let's take a look at the tailoring for this guy. And again, normal Spider-Man stuff here, red and blue. The blue is this metallic blue. It has a sheen on it, consistent to the movie. The red part is made out of fabric that it's very stretchable, which is nice. I didn't feel any restriction if we're talking about posing and articulation here. They're nice to touch. The fabric doesn't feel like it is heavy or thick. It is stretchy that to a point where it doesn't even need to bounce back. Like there's fabric that, hey, it's gonna heal itself. It's thicker. It's not. It's thin. It's stretchy. It is perfect for this type of figure. The metallic sheen part, that's made out of rubber, but really thin, I would say. That, well, it's not too thin that you feel like you're gonna break it, but thin enough and stretchable enough that I feel like you'll be okay. Now there's two crease points on the armpits, which I don't know what's that for, but it is there. Doesn't bother me all that much, but I don't know why it's creasing there. But like a regular clothing, especially with this material, if you really wear them, they are gonna crease, and they're gonna be permanent crease. Let's say on the elbows, on the knees, and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to post them. I think they'll be okay in the long run. But yeah, so let's take a look at the head sculpt here. So let's start off with the mask one first. The mask one looks nice. It is made out of fabric. The seam line on the top of the head is not as intrusive as the previous Spider-Mans. The layer of fabric that they used, it's so thin that you can almost see, I don't know, the gray or the metallic silver inside of the head. I don't know if you can see it. It reflects on the camera. It's not as noticeable in person though. But right now we're using this, this macro lens that you could see the stuff there. The eyes are magnetic. Again, the seam on the top of the head, it's not too bad. It is there though. It is there, but you barely notice it, honestly. You can see on the bottom of his chin though, like on the neck area, there's another seam there. But with mine, at least, it is not too noticeable. So nothing bad out of this mask at all. But we're gonna take a look at the different eyes that he does come with. They're almost similar, honestly, and they're different eyes. One is smaller, one is bigger. There's 4 eyes in total, including the one that's included on the mask once you do get it. But let's take a look at this unmasked head sculpt, which is what everyone is buzzing about, and for the right reasons. It is beautiful. This is the best Tom Holland head sculpt that Hot Toys have ever produced. And how many have they produced? Maybe of quite a few now. They nailed the hair. This is not even an artisan version. And this is the first version where he does have rolling eyeball system and that neck piece right there. Is it worth getting it because of that? It depends on you and how many Spider-Mans you do have. There's a lot of Spider-Mans out there now. The battling version offers something different as well. The half mask head sculpt, which is also good in it by itself. I was thinking of picking that up because of that half mask head sculpt. It's almost always on sale. It does come with a diorama piece as well. One day I'll feel compelled to pick that up. I swear to God. But right now, this guy looks fantastic. You can see the neck. And with the rolling eyeball system, you could change the look. I mean, I don't need to present to you, and this is the ball joint, by the way, of the power of rolling eyeball system. But I'll just show you, if for those who hasn't had one yet, there's two joysticks inside, and you could manually do it if you want to, or they'll give you a stick as well. And you can see right there, it moves at least one of the eye, but you could do both, obviously. But that's beautiful. Now, articulation wise, Spider-Man has come a long way from our previous Spider-Mans who can't move. This guy, it's you, depending on you now, on how good your imagination is. But this guy can move around. I'm gonna take away the head sculpt, because I always feel like, I don't know, I got PTSD in here. That's kind of sticky as well, and it's pretty consistent, the neck piece. And this is how you normally I would move it, right? Because this is plastic, and there's two things. It's too tight. The neck, there's no seam, there's no space between the bottom of the neck and the hair in the back. So I would remove it first, move that thing around, and then insert, just to avoid friction and damaging the neck. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's clicking. It does have a, there you go, ratchet joints, and as you can see, the blue part, because it's not fabric, it's doing some creasing, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna break. You know, some waist movement here. You can raise the arm pretty high. You can bend the elbows pretty nicely as well. This one you just gotta be careful. I think I lost kind of like the system there, but the legs are in the ratchet system as well. But there you go, it's creasing. I still wouldn't leave it in a dynamic pose for a long time. That's just me. Even though they said it's gonna heal itself, it's just that A, I don't have the space to leave him in a dynamic pose, and B, I try to keep it as pristine as possible. Make no mistake, I am gonna pose him for photography and different various, options, but just wouldn't leave him in that pose for a long period of time. That is where my statue kicks in, for those kind of poses. This one, he's more of a as needed to be posed type of figure. And speaking of as needed, so we're gonna do some post session here before we wrap this thing up, because like I said, this diorama piece for me is the highlight. The suit itself, for me it feels like the classic Spider-Man suit that I had from the video game version, but more improved. That one, you can move him around as well. It's made out of like this soft, flexible rubber / whatever material that they used. And I also wasn't, but this one feels like it is more flexible because of the type of material that they used. So in a way, this is more of a classic Spider-Man look with a bit of a twist because of the metallic blue that they used. Normally, this would be a normal Spider-Man release, and something that I would probably easily pass back in the day. As we stand right now, I have 7 Spider-Man, so this would be like, all right, what, I'll wait for the next movie and I'll be done. Even though I do love No Way Home, though, I thought this would be a summer exclusive, and knowing what we do with Hot Toys, I'll be like, all right, I'll pick it up later. But looking at this now, like this image right here, no dynamic pole, anything like that. This is how I'm gonna leave this Spider-Man. Like I mentioned earlier, I have 7. So all of them would have mask, but not this guy. This head sculpt is just way too good to be left in a box. I mean, you could use this perhaps on a different body, but the neck connector, I mean, that's gonna be a tough one. You can have his head sitting down, you know, with a blue tack or something, but no, he's gonna be left in this pose or in this look for in my display. And one of the few times that I wouldn't use the mask. And my final thoughts on this guy: is it a must-have for Spider-Man owners? If you're a huge Spider-Man fan, you probably have more than one Spider-Man right now. What is another one? Spoiler alert, he didn't show up in Deadpool. I thought he was gonna show up and we're gonna have another Spider-Man. Or maybe he did, that I didn't notice, but he wasn't there. So this would be, you know, one of the few Spider-Mans that you could have that would have a great head sculpt. I mean, you could go for Iron Spider, and I won't blame you for that, but that is more of a specific look. I would say this is more of a generic look, and also a No Way Home look. Because that Iron Spider, as good as it is, it also has rolling eyeball system. You could use that for No Way Home as well, but he does have battle damage. This one doesn't, and you're gonna wait a year. When is the next Spider-Man? Maybe 2 years from now, maybe. And then 2 years from there, and then you're gonna have 1 more year to wait for Hot Toys. Unless Hot Toys comes up with a 2.0 of the not homemade suit. The first one, the homecoming suit, that would be good as well, but it's a different look. So, I don't know. For me, if you're the deluxe base is not a must-have. I can tell you that right now. It is one of my decisioning factor, but having it in hand, it's a smaller scale, but the head sculpt might be. So at worst, just get the non-deluxe version if you're on the fence, and I think you'll be extremely happy. This has the elements of a classic suit if you don't even have one yet, and then the head sculpt itself would be a treat to have. You're gonna have a lot of fun taking pictures of that unmasked head sculpt because it is that damn good. But let me know in the comments how you feel about this figure. Thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.